Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sofia. I'm a postdoctoral researcher here. Today we will be talking about crops and waste. Waste, not the most fun of topics, but very important in this case. Okay, problem number one, wastewater treatment and environmental pollution. In the modern day society, we have a lot of sources where we produce waste. Our households, our hospitals, industrial sites, you name it. So, what happens to the wastewater that we produce? Typically, it goes through a wastewater treatment plant and produces the effluent, what we call the treated wastewater. So this is usually clean enough to be released into the environment, but sometimes we have persistent contaminants and we can have some contamination in the water bodies, especially if we think about fish and seafood that we consume, and that can translate into that. Problem number two, water crisis in the Mediterranean region. And not only in the Mediterranean. We know that in many places across the globe, this is problem number one. Why is that? Many factors. We have pollution of the soil, of the water, of the atmosphere. We have urbanization. We basically destroy ecosystems and we build our cities. We have temperatures that are rising in many places. We have extreme weather events. And especially in the Mediterranean region, we have high touristic activity. All of this translates into water scarcity, so we have to be very careful in the ways that we use our water resources. So, what if I could take these two problems together, combine them into a solution? Is that possible? Most of the time we aim for solutions that are related to circular economy. What does that mean? Ideally, I would want to be able to use something and the waste that is produced, that I can reuse it, I can repurpose it in any way. That would give me a circular economy and would close the loop. I wouldn't have loose ends. That is an ideal situation. So we can see with an example if this is possible or not. Here we have this girl very happily eating her salad, but let's say that at some point she gets sick and she takes some antibiotics. Through excretion, we're going to produce waste. This waste, as we said, is going to go through the treatment plant, and then some of it will be released into the environment. But what if I don't release it all in the environment, and some of it I use it instead for irrigation of our crops? Well, it sounds a little bit crazy at first, but let's see. These crops will be later harvested, and they will produce the salad that this girl was eating in the first place. Now, as I said, sometimes we have persistent compounds, and even though they go through the treatment, they might still be released into the water bodies. If I use this water for irrigation, then the question becomes, are these compounds going to end up in my crops? So when I have the seafood coming from the sea, and then I have the crops coming from the agriculture, does that mean I'm going to have contaminants in my food on my plate? So what we investigate, and not just us, but other groups as well, is we try to figure out what kind of compounds are the ones that have this tendency to probably accumulate in the crops. We already know that there's a lot of categories of these compounds. There's psychiatric drugs, there's antibiotics, there is industrial chemicals. So the question becomes, are they not effectively removed? Are they persistent? Are they going to accumulate in the crops? Are these crops harmful to consume? In order to answer this question, we have to do what we call a human health risk assessment after we conclude our experiments, let's say, for example, with using the wastewater to irrigate crops. So that means that we collect our data about the levels of contaminants we find in the crops, we combine this with toxicological parameters and with consumption data so that we can say per case if there is a risk or not. There is already studies out there. I'm going to just show a few that are related one way or another to ICRA. We have studies about crops in the Mediterranean region and the north of Africa, where we have detected pharmaceuticals and EDCs in a variety of crops. But the good news was that no risk was calculated in these specific crops. There were studies from seafood that was collected from European markets, where pharmaceuticals and EDCs once again were detected in fish and seafood, but again, no risk was calculated. No risk was found. We had another study from aquacultures in Italy, where antibiotics were detected into fish samples, and again, the calculation showed that there was no risk. So this is very good news. I added here another study with potential risk, and that's actually from the northwest of Spain, where there's high production of seafood, and pharmaceuticals were detected in that seafood. And potential risk here doesn't mean definitive risk, but it means that it would have to be investigated further. So what I want you to remember from this small presentation is that, yes, environmental pollution and water crisis are very real problems. They're not going away, and we have to do something about them. So one of the possibilities is to try to aim for solutions of circular economy. And we don't want to waste our resources to produce clean water for our crops. So maybe one of the solutions is to reuse the wastewater we already produce for agricultural purposes. But before we do that and implement it, we have to ask, is there any risk? Thank you.